if you had to pick just one instrument, the one that really is the sound of jazz, that sound of pure cool, it has to be the saxophone.
Oh, absolutely. That that smoky, powerful, really expressive tone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the signature sound of so much music. It's the lead voice.
Right. So today we're going to give you the inside track on this amazing instrument. We'll unpack how it actually works, why it sounds so much like a human singing, and then we'll meet the legends who made it the most iconic instrument in jazz.
And we have to start with that classic riddle, the one that trips everyone up at first.
Eh.
It's usually made of shiny brass, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's not a brass instrument. It's classified as a woodwind. So, why?
Okay, let's just tackle that right away because
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem logical. If it looks like a trumpet, why isn't it in the brass family?
Well, it all comes down to where the sound actually begins. The inventor was a Belgian guy, Adolphe Sax, back in the early 1840s. And he wasn't trying to make a new brass instrument. He was trying to solve a very specific problem.
A problem. What kind of problem?
A military band problem, actually. Yeah, he wanted the power, the sheer volume of a brass instrument, something loud enough to be heard over drums while marching. But he also wanted the agility, the fast finger work of a woodwind, like a clarinet.
So he was trying to build a hybrid, the best of both worlds.
Exactly. And the woodwind rule all comes down to the reed.
The little wooden piece in the mouthpiece?
All woodwinds, clarinets, oboes, saxophones, they create sound from a vibrating piece of cane. That's the reed. That little piece of wood is the engine. And that's what puts the saxophone in the woodwind family, no matter what the body is made of.
That makes so much more sense. Okay, so Sax invents this for military bands in Europe. When does it actually become cool?
It definitely took a while.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it was mostly a military music, some classical pieces here and there. It didn't really explode until it came over the United States. Musicians here just immediately got its potential for, like, raw personal expression.
Which is the heart of jazz.
The heart of jazz.
So let's get into the mechanics. You look at a saxophone, and it's this incredibly complex system of keys and levers. How does a player turn just air into a note?
The very first step is making that reed vibrate. The player blows air, the reed vibrates super fast, and that vibration starts a column of sound moving down the tube.
And the keys, they change the pitch.
Precisely. The player presses keys, and those keys open or close holes along the body. Here's a good way to think about it. Imagine the saxophone is just a really long, curved straw.
Okay, I can picture that.
If you blow across a short straw, you get a high sound. If you make the straw longer, the pitch goes down. The sax works the same way. When a player presses a key and closes a hole, the air is forced to travel further down the tube.
So a longer journey for the air means a lower note.
You got it. And a shorter journey means a higher note. When you open all the holes, the air gets out quick, so you get a high pitch. When you close all the holes, the air goes all the way down to the bottom.
To that big flared part, the bell.
Right. And that bell is basically just a built-in megaphone. It projects the sound out, which is exactly what Adolphe Sax wanted. It's why the sax can cut through a loud band.
I get the principle. But what's the hardest part for a beginner? Is it learning all those keys?
The very first challenge is just getting a consistent sound. And that comes down to two things: breath control and what musicians call the embouchure.
The embouchure. That's your mouth shape, right?
It is. You have to train the muscles in your mouth to hold the reed just right and to blow a perfectly steady stream of air. If your air is shaky, your sound is going to be shaky. It takes a ton of practice just to get a stable tone.
Let's talk about the different kinds of saxophones, because you hear about altos, tenors. They look pretty similar, but they sound totally different.
They're all built on the same blueprint, which is a huge advantage for players. See, all four main types use the same fingerings. If you learn to play a scale on an alto.
You can pick up a tenor and play the same scale with the same fingers.
Exactly. But since they're different sizes, they're tuned to different keys.
So that's where the names come in.
The smallest and highest pitched one is the soprano. It's often straight, looks a bit like a metal clarinet, very bright sound.
And then there's the one most people start with.
The alto sax. A little bigger, with that classic curved shape. It's super popular for students and for soloists because it's a manageable size and has this beautiful mid-range.
Then you get to my favorite, the really rich, full-bodied sound.
That would be the tenor. It's bigger, sounds deeper, and it often carries the main melody in classic jazz. And finally, the giant of the family, the baritone saxophone. It's the biggest of the four, with this super low rumbling sound that anchors the whole section.
Okay, you said they're tuned to different keys, like E flat or B flat. That sounds like complicated music theory. What does that actually mean for someone listening?
That's a great question. It
Oh.
basically means that when a sax player plays what they call a C on their instrument, it sounds like a different note on a piano.
So they're not speaking the same language as the piano.
In a way, yeah. An alto player has to finger what they call an A to match a C on the piano. It's a bit tricky. They're what we call transposing instruments, but the important thing is they can all use the same finger patterns for scales.
And that's probably why they work so well together in a big band.
Oh, absolutely. Think about those huge bands from the 30s and 40s, the ones that made people want to dance. They almost always had a five-piece saxophone section right up front.
What's the usual lineup for that?
It's typically two altos, two tenors, and one baritone. And they have to work together like a single unit, playing these massive melodies in really thick chords. The goal is to make 5 instruments sound like one giant, perfectly in-tune voice.
That sounds incredibly difficult. Who's in charge of making that happen?
The job always goes to the lead alto player. They guide the entire section.
Yeah.
Everyone else, the second alto, the tenors, the barrel, they're all listening to the lead alto, matching their volume, their tuning, their phrasing, everything. Some masterclass in teamwork.
And that ability to be powerful but also really emotional is why the sax became the voice of jazz. That's where that comparison to a human voice really comes from.
It's the perfect analogy. The sax is loud enough to soar over a rhythm section, but it can also be incredibly subtle, like it's whispering a secret. It's just the ideal solo instrument for conveying emotion.
And the thing that makes jazz so different from, say, classical music is improvisation. We should probably explain what that really means.
Right, improvisation is just making up music on the spot, but, and this is important, it's not random. A saxophonist taking a solo is listening very carefully to the chords the piano or guitar is playing in the background.
So they have a roadmap. They aren't just hitting any note they feel like.
Not at all. They're using the notes inside those chords as their building blocks to create a brand new melody. They're composing in real time.
It's less like making stuff up and more like having a conversation with the other instruments.
That's a perfect way to put it. It takes years of practice, a deep knowledge of music theory, and honestly, a lot of courage. You have to be willing to try new things right there in front of an audience. And it's why every performance of a jazz song is unique. It's never the same conversation twice.
So we've established the sax is the voice of jazz, but that voice was really shaped by a few key players. Before we get into taking care of one of these things, we have to talk about the titans, starting with the alto masters.
You have to start with Charlie Parker. Bird. He's basically the reason the alto sax became a major solo instrument. He was at the center of creating a whole new style of jazz in the 1940s called bebop.
And what was so revolutionary about bebop? Was he just playing really fast?
I mean, he was unbelievably fast, yeah. But the real revolution was harmonic. Before Bird, jazz solos mostly stuck to the main melody, Bird. He plucked notes that technically shouldn't have worked with the chords, but he made them sound incredible. It was like he was flying outside the lines.
So he broke all the rules, but did it so well that he created a new set of rules.
That's a great summary. Bebop was music that was too fast and complex for dancing. It was made for listening. It was a huge shift.
And then there's Cannonball Adderley, who sounds completely different.
Totally. Adderley had this big, happy, soulful sound. You can really hear the blues and gospel in his playing. And for the complete opposite of that intensity, there's Paul Desmond. Just an incredibly smooth, light, almost airy tone.
Okay, let's switch to the tenor titans, the players who made the tenor sax the symbol of modern jazz.
First name on the list has to be John Coltrane. He was legendary for his dedication. I mean, there's stories of him practicing for 10, even 12 hours a day, just trying to master every single possibility on the instrument.
Wow. He knew the instrument better than he knew himself. Who else is on that list?
Sonny Rollins is essential. He was known for his incredible creativity. He could take a really simple melody and just explore it endlessly in a solo, building something new every time. A true musical architect.
And then there's the original king of cool.
That's Lester Young. He created this very cool, relaxed, sophisticated way of playing. It was a total contrast to the hot, energetic style of early jazz. He proved you could be complex and laid back at the same time. These guys really made the tenor sax the heart of modern jazz.
That's all super inspiring, but for a student picking one up, that inspiration pretty quickly runs into the reality of caring for a complicated machine.
Right. Most students start on an alto. The first hurdle is just putting it together. You have to learn how to attach that very delicate reed to the mouthpiece, then connect the neck.
And you can't just hold it up, right? It's heavy.
Oh, absolutely not. You have to use a neck strap. Always. If you don't, you'll get tired fast, your posture will suffer, and then your breathing and your tone will suffer. It's all connected.
We talked about players developing their own unique sound, bright or warm or whatever. How do you do that?
It really comes down to that embouchure again, the mouth shape and airflow. Players spend years just experimenting. How tight you hold the mouthpiece, how much lip pressure you use. Tiny changes can completely alter the color of your sound.
And the gear matters too, right? The mouthpiece itself.
It matters a lot. A metal mouthpiece, generally, will give you a much brighter, louder sound. You hear that a lot in rock or funk. Whereas hard rubber or plastic mouthpieces, they tend to create that warmer, darker, more traditional jazz sound. Every player is searching for the setup that helps them find their voice.
The ultimate goal being that someone hears just two notes and they know it's you playing.
That's the dream.
Mm.
But now, the reality check? Maintenance. A saxophone is full of these little soft pads that have to create perfect air seals. And the number one rule is
Clean it.
clean it after every single time you play. No exceptions. You use a weighted cloth, it's called a swab, and you pull it all the way through the body to get all the moisture out.
And why is that so important?
Because if moisture sits in there, those delicate little pads get sticky and hard, and eventually they start to crack. And when a pad is damaged, it doesn't seal the hole anymore. The instrument starts to leak air.
And if it's leaking air, I'm guessing it's basically impossible to play.
It makes everything 10 times harder, especially the low notes. It's like trying to blow up a balloon with a tiny hole in it. You also have to take the reed off and store it in a flat case so it doesn't warp.
So we've gone from a military band instrument in the 1840s all the way to the voice of modern jazz. Where does it stand today?
It's still huge. The saxophone is one of the most popular instruments taught in schools and played professionally. You hear it everywhere. Pop songs, blues, funk, and of course in jazz clubs.
And it seems like new technology is making them even better and easier to play.
It is, yeah. The versatility of the saxophone has just allowed it to cross into almost every genre of music. It really proves that the legacy of Adolphe Sax is still alive in every note being played today.
It just shows you, whether you're a beginner practicing scales or a legend improvising a solo, the saxophone is always ready to talk back.
That's the story of the King of Cool.
Good luck with your studies.